Okay, here we are in beautiful Savannah Bay in the British Virgin Islands, and I just thought that it'd be a good time to do a little run through on the dinghy operations and engine. And you know, maybe this is not for you, maybe you're a skipper and you know what it is all about, but then it's, in that case, it's for your crew, because you're going to have crew members on your boat. They're really excited, and let's just make sure that they're operating the dinghy properly and safely. So hello crew member, maybe it's the first time you've ever used a dinghy, or a second or a third or whatever, but let's just make sure that you're doing it properly. So here we are. I'm just going to run through a few things. This little device here, this is your safety device. Notice it's around my wrist. What it does is it kills the engine. So if this comes out of here, the engine won't operate. The only way the engine can operate is if this is pulled out. And so if you pull this out, that's the way the engine starts. It can't start like this. So we have this in here, and the reason I have it around my wrist is if I fall overboard, it comes out. Alright, so the problem with falling overboard, it's really dangerous, because when it falls overboard, invariably you do this. That's going to turn the engine this way, the propeller's spinning, and it's going to chop your leg off. So that's not good. So this is a really essential device for operating the dinghy. Okay, gear levers. This is really simple. That's reverse, neutral and forward. So a couple of things to notice about that is, here's a throttle. You've got to make sure that your throttle is in idle whenever you change gear. It's absolutely imperative. So you start the boat and you start the engine in neutral, you're going to bring your throttle down to idle, and then you're going to put it into forward. If you're going to put it back into neutral, you're going to bring your throttle back down to idle and put it back into neutral, and same for reverse. So that's all pretty simple. So it's very easy to start the engine. Typically what you're going to do on an engine is you're going to use this here. This is called the choke. What choke does is that it chokes off the air going into the carburetor. It puts more fuel into the carburetor so that it can start the engine easier. The only problem with choke is that oftentimes you'll put too much fuel into the carburetor. If you do that, you're not going to be able to start the engine. The carburetor and the engine need air and fuel. So if you've choked it up too much, then you're going to have problems starting the engine, and that's okay. It's very simple. It's a little trick that that I teach people all the time. Is you're going to open up the throttle all the way to completely open, completely full speed, and turn the choke off, and you're going to give the engine a pull, and that's going to get a lot of air into the carburetor and get rid of that fuel, and you'll be able to start the engine really easy. So that's a trick that you need to know. So here's what we're going to do: is we're going to start the engine, and we'll put it into gear, and we'll just take off. So I've got, for right now, I've got the choke in because I know the engine's going to start, and I've got the throttle set on low. Usually you can see a little turtle here, and you can see a hair, so the turtle is obviously slow. So put it on turtle, and maybe just a little bit up. We're going to give the engine a start. Now, what I want you to be really cognizant of, and this is really important, is this is what's going to happen, is your elbows are going to come up and they're going to donk into a crew member's face. And I see it happen all the time. You're excited, you're on a vacation, it's beautiful, you want to drive the dinghy, you jump into the dinghy to get this position so that you can drive the dinghy and have some fun, and you get it and everybody's ready, and you go bam, and you just ruin somebody's day because they've got a broken nose or a black eye or something. So a couple of things to stop that. What I do anytime, I just go, okay, elbows. I make people lean back, but also what I can do is I'll start the engine like this. I'll bring my elbow down like that. Okay, so the worst case you can do is knock somebody's knee off. Elbows, elbows, elbows. Always be watching for elbows. All right. Okay, so we got the engine started. Just going to put it forward, and off we go. Alright, so that's easy. You're going to use reverse very seldom. Just be careful. This boat's got a little safety device on it, so when it is in reverse, the engine won't rise up. But a lot of times you'll find if it doesn't have that device on it, as soon as you crank the engine in reverse, that engine comes ripping up out of the water, and that's not good. So just be careful of that. Okay, I'm going to stop the engine. So the other thing I wanted to show you here is we can pull the engine up, and there's this little device right around here, and that is your lever that locks the engine up into a position like this. When to let it down, all you do is lift the engine a bit, click that up, keep holding it up, and you drop the engine all the way down. If you don't hold it up, you can get it to another position like that, and it's not all the way down. And that's actually fairly handy sometimes, because you're coming in, it's getting a little bit shallow. You can lift the engine up a little bit and lock it halfway up, but to operate it fully, just lift it all the way down. All right, so that is the engine. Okay, what else? Any questions from the cameraman? Fuel. Okay. All right, so this here, typically you're going to have a tank like this. Sometimes you have a tank that's actually on here. If you have one of these tanks, you're going to have one of these squeezy bulbs, and this is a good way to get it started. If you've changed tanks or something like that, just give this a check. It should be tight, and if it's not tight, keep squeezing it until it is tight, and what it's doing is putting fuel, and it's forcing fuel through into the system, into the carburetor. So check that. Give that a squeeze in the morning when you get the engine started. Sometimes this can come off, so just check that if you're having trouble starting the engine, and this connects right down into the fuel. So if you're going along, engine won't start, just check that. Also check this down here, it's the same, to make sure that that cord is attached. So just a couple of things then. If the engine stops, just remember a couple of things. Make sure that you can squeeze this, that there's fuel in that. These are connected, and if you can't start the engine, remember that the choke in and wide open on the throttle. Okay, so that's that. Now let's go to shore, and we'll show you how to do a beach landing. And there's a couple of really important things that you need to be very, very, very aware of when doing a beach landing, especially if there are waves. So here's rule number 1 through infinity: do not ever let the dinghy get sideways to a wave. And here's what's going to happen if you do that. The wave is going to pick the dinghy up on one side, it's going to flip the dinghy over, everybody's going to go over onto the beach, the dinghy's going to land on top of them, people are going to get hurt, the engine's going to go underwater, it's going to be an absolute disaster. And the reason is that all you did was you allowed the dinghy to get sideways to the wave. So as you come into the beach, you're going to be coming straight in, and just keep the dinghy straight going into the beach, and you've got to alert the rest of the people in the boat that you do not want the boat to get sideways to the wave, that you go straight in. Sometimes there's going to be waves breaking over the back. That's a heck of a lot better than getting sideways to the wave. So once you're in at the beach, then you can spin the boat around and point the front back out to the ocean, but watch out for those waves. So here's what we're going to do: is we're going to go into the beach, and I'm just going to show you sort of the putting it all together in terms of coming in, putting it into neutral, stopping the engine, and getting the engine lifted up so that we glide right into the beach. So let's go do that. Okay, so here we are, just coming into the beach, and I'm still gonna keep up a decent amount of speed, just so that we've got some momentum, so it's gonna carry the boat right into the beach. So as I get close, I'm just monitoring the depth, and we're getting a little closer now. So I'm gonna take it out of gear, stop the engine, lift it up, and we're just going to glide right into the beach. Now, we don't want the boat to get sideways to the wind, to the waves, so I'm just stepping out, keeping the back of the boat straight out to ocean, and we can drag it up on shore. When you want to go back out, it's all pretty simple. You can just do that in reverse, or we can wait till a wave comes past. We can then spin the boat around like this. Okay, and we can just give it a push off and head back out again. What I might do is set this up so the engine's going to start really fast, and that way I'm not mucking around too much. What you want to do is as you head off from the beach, you don't want to be mucking around too much. You don't want that boat again to get sideways to the waves. If you've got crew members on the boat, make sure they're aware of that as well. So we're just going to push off. We're going to drop the engine down, and we're going to get it started. So just give it a little push, jump in the dinghy, all the way to the bottom, in neutral, a little bit of throttle, elbows, and off we go. Okay, so we're going to do a boat landing. Notice what I'm doing is I'm coming right round quite a bit far south of the boat so I can get a nice straight line. So I can get a nice straight line coming into the boat. I'm just going to line it up, back it off. And what we don't want to do is bump into the boat, so I'm just going to use the boat momentum. I'm going to put it in reverse a little bit now, just to slow the boat down, and here we go, touch. That's the bump that you get, not very much. Okay, so we'll do another little just talk on manoeuvring the boat. And here's what I'm going to say is, I can't teach you on this video and have you remember it and try to figure it out which way to move this so that you can turn the boat. There's only one way to do it. Let's just get out in the dinghy, grab hold of it, go have some fun, and just manoeuvre the boat around and see which way. And what'll happen is it'll just burn it into your brain and into your hand how to manoeuvre the dinghy. So in about 5 or 10 minutes just out by yourself, ask your skipper, can I take the dinghy? Maybe somebody else in it, and then just turn around and just do circles like this. I'm just getting used to manoeuvring the dinghy. One thing you'd have to be really careful of is don't turn the boat and then gun the throttle. More than likely it'll throw you out of the boat. So just be really, really careful. If you're going to gun the throttle, make sure you're going in a straight line. Okay, now you can gun it. Back down again. Alright, good. That's dinghy lessons from your kid.